Hi, welcome to East Texas Topic of the Month, where our topic this month is daily living activities. My name is Brittney Walters, and I am the Client Services Program Assistant here at the Lighthouse. Essentially what that means is, I know it's kind of a long title, but essentially what that means is I help to teach adaptive technology here at the East Texas Lighthouse. So things like JAWS, Zoom Text, Fusion, Braille Note, iPad, iOS devices. I co-teach with another instructor here at the Lighthouse. But today we're going to be talking about daily living activities. You guys have sent in some questions that I'm going to answer. I also have my own little notes that I've taken on some of the questions that I want to address. And if you have any questions, there'll be a session at the end where you can comment and ask questions for clarification, things like that. Also, if you want to contact me directly, my credentials here at the Lighthouse is bwalters@tylerlighthouse.org. That's B as in boy at tylerlighthouse.org. Or my office phone is 903-590-4380, excuse me. So we're going to go ahead and get started. One question that I was given was regarding public transportation, and that's a big one because I use it myself. So I use paratransit, which is a program offered here by the City of Tyler. It's a door-to-door service. So they drop you off in front of a door and pick you up in front of another door. This is a shared ride scheduling program. So what that means is shared ride, you're riding with someone else. So it might not just be you riding in this paratransit program. When they pick you up, they might have somebody else in the car who is also on this shared ride program. It is at a discounted rate, and it is for people with disabilities, so not just visually impaired. But what I wanted to reiterate regarding to the question was, as far as scheduling, this paratransit service is a 24-hour scheduling. So therefore, you must schedule to accommodate. If you know that you have to be somewhere at 9 o'clock, then you should tell transit that you have to be there at 8:30. That way you give them a 30-minute grace period. That way you won't be, just late. So that goes back into what the question specifically was how do you schedule? So basically you just call them and you say, I have a ride, I have a doctor's appointment for 9 o'clock, and they'll say, okay, well, and then you tell them, I want to be there at 8:30. I want to be dropped off by 8:30. That means, then what that means is that's going to be on you, the rider, to be ready by 8:30. And that goes into another thing that I have commented, and I said, for accountability, be ready, because it's a ride sharing, so sometimes it's scheduled, they have to go and pick up other people, so you have to be ready and be accountable for the time that you said you wanted, so you can't expect them to wait on you. Another question I got was, how do you get the schedule? And I think this question was specifically going for the fixed routes, which is the basic bus schedule. So if you want the basic bus schedule, that's just going to be you calling the city that you're in. The city, for instance, I'm in the city of Tyler, so I would call the city of Tyler and they should give you a bus schedule. Also, you can find that online as well. Just Google your city, click on the link that leads you there, and it will lead you to your city's website, and it should have something in there about transportation. Again, that's if your city has paratransit fixed routes, any kind of buses, a cab service, things like that. Now for cab service, the cab company here in Tyler, which I do use myself as well, it's not a program. It's just I call them and say, hey, I need a ride to go here. And they're charging by the meter. It's a bit more expensive than a shared paratransit or fixed routes. But sometimes I do have to use it. Another thing that I use, and I know that some people are going to be like, oh, but I use Lyft and I use Uber. And that was something that I wrote down in my notes because of the simple fact that they are quick and convenient. And I like that aspect. And I think that the younger generations and things like that. I know I have several coworkers who use Lyft and Uber, so and they're visually impaired as well. So it works out because it's convenient. Now, with that, you must understand that you have to be cautious and aware of what's going on because. Like myself, I do not take Uber or Lyft at nighttime, strictly because I cannot see very well and because I'm a woman. But now there are safety tools on these apps that you should, if you're going to use them, you need to be aware of them. So Lyft has like a safety tool where you can share your your driver's information to other people. That way, hey, they know that you're in the car with them. And that's just a good tip, just whoever you are. That's just something that you should know and be aware of, that is available to you. I myself, I share it with a couple of people just so they know who I'm in the car with. And again, I use Uber and Lyft if I need to make a quick run to Whataburger or to get some food or to the grocery store, things like that. Just for quick runs. Again, I do use paratransit, but that's a door-to-door, the door-to-door service that I was telling you guys about. I specifically use it for standard orders. What I mean by standard orders is I have to be at work at a certain time and I get off at a certain time. That means they pick me up for work and then they pick me up to go home from work. Those are standard orders that I use for paratransit every day. So, and same thing from when I was in school. That's what I would use for school. They knew what time that I had to be on campus as well as what time I would be done on campus. Okay, let's move on to another question. I got some questions about banking and online purchases. So specifically, it was the questions were, how do you make online purchases, and when you don't have, how do you make online purchases? And that was an interesting one I found. So if you want to make online purchases, let's say you want to shop on Amazon, because that's really popular. You must have some sort of credit card. And that's another thing that I wrote down in my notes. If you are of age and you are capable, you really need to learn how to use a credit card because it's just more convenient, and in today's society, a lot of places are getting away from paper money. So you can do a lot of things with credit cards and online banking. You can pay your bills. I pay my rent online, my cell phone bill. It's just so much you can do. So you really need to learn how to use this credit card. So I wrote down in my notes, if you have a student, if I have parents watching, anything like that, if you have a student and you want to give them a credit card, you can do what is called the freeloading cards, where you just load money. It's not a bank account, but it's just loading money and having them practice swiping it at the store. That way you can regulate how much money is going on there. That's a good way to kind of start off. I would say that that's how I started off using a credit card. My mom gave me this reloadable card, and that's how I learned how to, okay, swipe and put it this way in the machine, because there is a specific way that the card is supposed to go into the machine. And had I not had that initial reloadable card, I would not have known that. So that's a good way to kind of start off kind of slow, and then you can kind of graduate into like actual bank account and with the card, and it actually has money in it every month. Again, this is for if you want to, if you're capable, not not saying that who can or who can't. So back to the question was saying, if you want to make a purchase online, you cannot put the money in, send the money to them in the mail, anything like that. It has to be through a card, PayPal, which essentially PayPal has to be on the card as well. So all of these things have to be on a card. So I think that is a good tip to learn how to use. If you are of age, I'd say about 16, or if you're students, they should know that. Let's go to, I have some more questions. I talked about Uber and Lyft. I want to talk about organization, because that was another thing. Organization. So it is very important to be organized. And I'm not saying like, oh, you're just extremely OCD. What I'm saying is to have a structure and organize and know, okay, if you're at a restaurant, let's say, what I do is I position everything in like the form of a clock. Like my drink may be over here at 12 o'clock, and my phone might be over here at 10 o'clock. Things like that, or my fork or my knife, things like that. That's how I position. Same thing with a plate. What kind of food you have on the plate. So that's the kind of organizational tips that I use. So as far as like within my home, where I live, I put things I have a place for things. So my keys go in a spot every day when I get in the house. I have a dog. My dog's leash goes in the same spot every day. So creating those organizational tips, they will help you to be more at ease with things and be more comfortable. So those are just some small tips that I use. As far as like laundry detergent and dishwasher, because sometimes those things come in the same type of bottle or similar bottle, and it's hard to tell if you can't see. So putting things in different places, okay, in different cabinets, or different shelves or things like that. Those kinds of things will help as well. Creating labels. I have created braille labels on certain cabinets or on certain canned goods to tell what they are. Those are good little tips. Bump dots. I'm a fan of bump dots. I have a problem with finding my keys when I get off the bus or when I get out the car. And so I have my keys in my hand, but I can't find where the key is on the key ring because I have so many keys. Now this only this helps if you have multiple keys like I do. Now, if you only have one key, then you don't have to worry about it. But I have multiple keys. So if you have multiple keys, what you can do is bump dots. So I love bump dots. They help me. So I have placed a bump dot on my keys to get into my house. And my mailbox key has a different type of bump dot on it. So that's how I can tell and differentiate between the two. Also, I use bump dots on my washer and dryer and my oven to cook on. So those things help me as well. Different appliances like air fryers and things like that. I also use bump dots because it just helps me to know what temperature that I'm putting things on, and things like that. Another question that I wanted to address, and I hope that I address it correctly, was okay, so yes, so you guys, they brought in some bump dots for me to show y'all. So this is what I mean by bump dots. And if you notice, you can feel them. I hope y'all can see. I hope I'm putting in the camera. Okay, so yes, you can feel them. And essentially this is what I have on my keys to get into my apartment. I have one of these that it's just a circular dot, and now I have another one with it's a circular dot and it has like a little point on in the middle of the circle, and I have that on my mailbox key. That's why I know, okay, this is my mailbox key. But essentially these are what they are. And you see these are a little different. So we sell these here in our store, and like I said, they're a little different. They're just raised dots, and they just stick on. They're adhesive, so they just stick on. And they're really great and they're really helpful. So the other question that I was telling you guys about was the driving question. The question was, how do you know if you have enough vision to drive? Well, that would be a good question for your doctor. I'm just gonna keep it honest with y'all. That would be a great question, because I know for myself, and I'm gonna speak for myself because I feel that is totally a question for you and your doctor to hash out. But I cannot see the traffic lights nor the street signs, and I am colorblind. So therefore, I know that I do not need to be driving. I cannot see as well. And I am a cane user avidly. Everywhere I go, I have to use my cane. If I am not, with somebody that I can do sighted guide with, and all the time, you don't want to do sighted guide to hold on to anybody. So if I am totally butchering that question, you guys, I am so sorry, but that's the best I can do. I think that that's a good question for you and your doctor, and to know what your acuity is. That's great to know, and just to test it out. If you can see the street signs and you can see when the traffic lights change and things like that, and you can drive with correction. And what I mean by correction is with the glasses, the bioptic glasses and things like that. So check it. That would be a great something to look into. I'd be interested to know if you check into it, and you can let me know. Call me up or send me an email and say, hey, Brittney, I did what you said, So we're gonna move on to some more questions here, where we talked about, somebody was asking about how do you get a ride and you can't drive and you don't have any family members. Well, that's a good question, you guys. I don't have any family here in Tyler, and like I said, I use paratransit, Uber and Lyft, mostly Lyft. I use the taxi service here. Because I am a recent graduate of UT Tyler, I do have a good rapport of friends that I could call and say, hey, can you mind taking me somewhere? But I think the question was geared towards, how do you approach somebody like that? Because it did say, how do you ask them? So you always want to see, we don't want to feel like that we're inconveniencing anybody. So you always, hey, are you busy? You want to see if the other person is busy first. You just don't want to walk out and say, hey, can you take me here? Because then you might feel feel badly because they say, oh no, but if you ask them, are you busy? They'll go ahead and tell you if they're busy or not. And then you can say, oh, okay, well, I was just asking to see what you're doing. So I think if you just ask somebody if they are busy, or if they didn't, and then if they say no, say, hey, do you mind taking me, I don't know, to the store or to the library, things like that. Just different tools and tips like that. So you just ask them, basically. Again, like I said, I don't have any family members here in Tyler, so I totally understand what you mean when you say, how do you ask somebody? And that's exactly what I do, you guys. I just say, hey, are you busy? And if they are, then that's fine. Then I'll find someone else. If they are, then they'll take me. Another thing I have down in my notes to address is shopping. Okay, you guys. So shopping, I do. If you do, or you want to learn how to do your own shopping, it's really easy. In our day, technology is rapiding these days. So there are so many apps to ways to get food. And of course, yep, I'm going to talk about food because, well, Brittney loves food. So there is Uber Eats, which is a delivery app for food. There's Waiter, another delivery app for food. A Favor, another delivery app for food. And all of these apps, okay, these are different apps. So like Waiter, Favor, Uber Eats, they're all different. DoorDash, there's more out there. Grubhub, there's tons anyway. So all of the apps, they have different restaurants. So they have restaurants from Burger King, McDonald's, all the way up into like Red Lobster or Chili's or Applebee's or Outback Steakhouse. They have all of these restaurants listed on these apps. And what you can do is you can go in and order food, look at the menu and order your food from these apps, and they will bring it to you. Bring it, the people that work for these companies, the people that work for like Waiter or Favor, they will bring it to your house. They get paid to deliver it to you. Go to the restaurant and pick up the food and deliver it to your house. So that is a great way to get food for Brittney on the weekends. I love it. Of course, now you do have to pay a delivery fee, which is can range from like $4.99 to $1.99. Sometimes it's free. It just depends, but that's a great way. Another thing that I like is a grocery delivery app. So, and you may already know, but Walmart, Amazon, Brookshire's, places like that, some places they will deliver your groceries. So literally, you can go on the apps and pick out the groceries that you want, put it in your cart, pay for it with your credit card, and they will deliver it to your house, of course, for a fee. I'm not sure what the delivery fees. Sometimes they're like free for orders over $30, things like that. So it just depends. So those are great ways to get food. If you just don't want to cook, like I said, I use those on the weekends when I'm feeling lazy and don't want to cook, like order food. Don't want to cook, but don't want to get out. It's raining, things like that. So get out and just pick up your phone and put your order in, and it's there at your door within, I'd say, 30 to 45 minutes. Kind of like a pizza. It's really good. It's really great. Another thing I wanted to talk about was I talked about shopping. Okay, yeah. So the food thing was a big one. I wanted to talk about Another question was about the shopping online. Again, that's going to be with another credit card, using some sort of loadable card, PayPal. Again, I'm really pushing that credit card because I think it's great if I think it's really big that if a student uses uses cash to learn the card because it's just because so many places they won't accept cash anymore. Some places will not accept cash, and then some places will not accept cards either. So you have to kind of weigh your options. But to know there's a specific way that the card goes in the machine, and where the buttons are on the machine, because you want to be able to do that independently. When you're in the store, when you're in the mall, or when you're purchasing something online, you want to be able to put in your information independently, press it, make sure the transaction goes through, get your receipt, and go on out the store. So that's why I'm talking about credit cards. So another thing I failed to mention when I was talking about food, I got excited about food, guys. Okay, so I still like to go to the grocery store, you guys. So I do go to the grocery store. So another you might ask, how do you find your groceries in the grocery store? Well, I use something called a personal shopper. And literally what that is another able-bodied person that works in the store, fully sighted. It may be, they may pull somebody off the cash register. They may pull one of the cart wranglers to come, and all they do is walk around the store with you, with your cart and your list in hand. I typically just write mine on my phone because I've always got my phone on me. So all you do is go to the customer service desk. I like using the Brookshires here in Tyler because they're really good customer service. So I go to the customer service desk and I ask for something called a personal shopper, and they come and they come to the desk and they get me, and we walk around the store, and they put the items that I have listed on my list into my basket, and then they help me to the register. So they make sure that I get the correct items off the shelf. And sometimes they'll say, do you want to feel it to see? Sometimes I'll feel the bag just to see if it's like similar to what I'm talking about. I'll try to put in my list as best as a description of what I'm looking for as possible, so they'll know, or like the brand, things like that, so that they'll know, okay, this is where this is what it is. It's in the frozen food section, it's in the canned goods section, things like that. But I do still shop independently. When I go to the grocery store, I use a personal shopper. So it's doable. That's another good thing to learn, is to learn how to go up and ask for assistance, to solicit assistance when you don't know where something is, how to get somewhere. I can't tell you how many times that I've been lost on UT Tyler campus, and I'm like, where is it? I've had my O&M, but you guys know as well as I do, sometimes you get confused and you get mixed up when there's a bunch of stuff going on and things like that. So there's nothing wrong with soliciting information or assistance. That's part of daily living as visually impaired and blind individuals, because we can't necessarily always see what's going on. All right, so I think I have one more section here. Okay, yes, so my last section was on college and education. That was all of my questions. So my last section was on college and educational goals, about how to be organized in college, as far as like daily living. If you're in a dorm, I understand that's like a small kind of placement area. It's really kind of hard because I've lived in a dorm before and it's like a small spot. But so as much as you possibly can, it's important to stay organized while you're in your dorm or in your area, things like that. just because so much stuff can get lost, and like if you have a roommate, things like that. So it's important to stay organized, especially with college. And sometimes you get confused and you got all these papers. um, there's nothing wrong with having folders. You know, that a lot of people say, oh, you're visually impaired, you can't see, why do you have papers? Because professors hand you papers. So it's important to stay organized there as well. um, as far as your daily living on activities on campus, most of the time when you're on campus, you things are plastered around campus on posters, and you can't necessarily see them. But if you solicit information and you go up to the activities office on your campus, they should be able to give you a list, or at least of a rundown of events that are happening on campus that day or that week, things like that. So oftentimes I did that. If I didn't know what was going on, I was like, I'm going to the activities office, campus activities, and they gave me a list of what was going on, and they also told me where it was located. That way I can still get there independently. I just know what's going on, if I so choose to go. um, I did not necessarily have to have someone go with me uh, again, but you totally could have. At times I did, but sometimes I didn't. So um, just solicit. Don't be afraid to solicit information, because that's part of being a well-rounded, independent individual. So, well, I think we are just about finished. So if you guys have any last minute questions, I will be happy to take them. If not, I've given my contact information at the beginning of this video. Also, you can contact our coordinator, Ann Phillips, here at East Texas Lighthouse. I've enjoyed talking to y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this month's topic of the month, daily living tips. Have a great day.